So a while back I made a video about this watch. This is the F-91W Sensor Watch. It's actually a PCB replacement for your existing watch that you throw in the case of an F-91W. It uses the existing display but adds functionality. So this is the original PCB. I've got the Sensor Watch PCB in here, and I've been doing some reading about it, and today I'm going to try actually loading some custom firmware on it. So let's take a look at the process for that. First thing I gotta do is I gotta take this watch apart and access the PCB because I need to plug it into a USB cable and all this stuff. And I'm also today going to liberate the small piezoelectric prong on here for the speaker. This presses against the back plate of the watch and actually provides power for the piezoelectric speaker, the little beeper speaker in there. So I'm going to do that too. I didn't do it last time, and I think it'll add some really important beeps and bloops, so I'll get that going too. So let me get the back off this watch and we can get into it. Alright, got the module out. So now what I'm going to do is I got to take off this little black back clasp thing here and try and pop it apart. Alright, got that off. That's the original battery. That's the original backing for the watch. And then this here is the actual PCB. This up here. Okay. And you can see there's the PCB. There is the little sensor attachment on there. And then this here is apparently a USB connector. So I'll be able to plug it into the PC using that. I'm not quite sure how, but I guess we'll find out. Exciting stuff. No way. Look at that. That's pretty slick, huh? Just fits right in there. Maybe I will set up OBS so that we can see this happening. Alright. So I've got everything laid out here. Here's my PCB for my sensor watch. I'm going to plug it in. Okay, and they say to press the reset switch on the back twice. That doesn't look great. Plug the watch into your USB port and double tap the tiny reset button. You should see the LED light up red and begin pulsing. Well, no such luck there. Double tap. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Alright, that looks more promising. It's now pulsing. And if we go to the desktop, do we see anything? No, it's not coming up as a drive. I don't see it here. I think this is a Ventura problem. Oh man, I remember hearing about this. Oh man. Okay, so I just decided to use my my PC here and copy things over that way, hopefully. So let me try starting it up using the PC here. Maybe I'll have an easier time. Alright, pop this in here like this. And double tap. Alright. And there you go. Watch boot shows up right away. How do you like that? GG. Alright, so one of the cool things we can do now, I mean, you could go through, you could use the information in the Git here. So you could go and download the new ARM embedded toolchain and get all that stuff and do it yourself. That's certainly an option. But what I found was actually pretty handy was this little guy. Let me see if I can find it here. Online firmware builder. Here we go. Okay, so this thing's pretty sweet. And you can actually see it shows you the most recent sort of builds here. But what it lets you do is it lets you, sort of mix and match, so we can have the simple clock face first, and then we can have a world clock if we want. If we like to set the time face right after, I think we can do that. I'm not sure what this lower one does actually. So we can go simple time face, and then we can do set time face. And then we could even do preferences face right after that, and then go to something else like the sailing face, the day one face anyways, right? So that's what you can do here. And there's a whole bunch of pre-built faces that are part of the existing, well, it tells you what commit it's building from. It's building from this commit 3 weeks ago. So that's pretty good. I guess it's not the most up-to-date, but maybe it is. I don't know. What we can do now is we can copy over all of these things in our desired order. Here's one I made last night. And you can run it in the emulator on the web here and actually see how it'll work. This is how you set, I think you do it like this. Yeah, you set your date. I want this to be my birthday. Is that a 7? I guess that's supposed to be a 7. There's some interesting, ways that they lay out the numbers in this. And I think there's some limitations on this digit. But anyways, you can try out the watch firmware. And then what you can do is you can just download it as a UF2. Now, I think I need to restart this because it may have died or auto ejected itself. So I double tap this, double tap. It's tricky, man. It's tiny. Alright, so there it is. So now it should be as simple as just dropping that in there. Watch.uf2 to your watch. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try it. Yes, I believe so. Okay, and it rebooted. So, I guess now we need to see if it worked by plugging it back in to our desired board. Let's give it a shot. Put this little thing back on here, the battery, and put the battery cover back on. Temperature log, day 1 timer, chronometer, countdown timer. I think it worked. Looks pretty good. 12-hour time, that's time set, or that's preferences, and then time set. So there you go. I installed new firmware on the watch. It was that easy. You can do it using a web-based tool, and now my watch has some features it didn't have before that I really wanted, like a chronometer, a countdown timer, and it's really trivial to just add new stuff. You just drop it on there. You can see the temperature sensor is registering 26.1 degrees C, and then there's a temperature log, and every hour it'll make a note of what the temperature was, and I can go back through them and cycle up to 35 hours worth of temperature data. There's nothing in there now. And this to me is a lot more useful than the stock movement firmware that came with the watch. I really like having time features on my watch, and it's something that kind of bugs me about modern smartwatches is that they seem to more heavily prioritize general purpose functions, whereas a watch, in my opinion, should be a watch first and foremost, and then do the fun stuff on top of this. So I'm going to button this back up now, but first what I'm going to do is I'm going to reclaim the buzzer prong from this and put it on here. So I'm actually going to disassemble this again and do that right now. So I'm going to desolder this now, and I'm going to be using my trusty Pine-Sil soldering iron. Super awesome soldering iron. Love this thing. I don't have a 60-watt USB power supply, but what I do have is a Nintendo Switch power supply, which turns out to be adequate for this. So, good on you, Nintendo, for helping me out there. Kids love the Switch. I love the Switch. But it's really nice that you can use it to power a soldering iron. And it's pretty sweet. You just sort of hit the plus button and it'll start heating up here. This is another sweet device produced by Pine64 or Pine, whatever, Pinecone is their name or whatever. They make a whole bunch of open source hardware now, including the Pine Time, which is a smartwatch, which I have and I've been playing around with. And I'm going to make another video about that later. But I'm still loving this Sensor Watch so much, I just thought I wouldn't be done with it yet. And I wanted to get some custom firmware on there, so that's why we're doing this today. Alright, let's try tinning this a little bit just to get the old dust off her. And I'll take a firm grip here and just sort of, just as easy as you please, just remove it just like that. Alright, I've done my bit with this guy. Thank you, little F-91 PCB, you've done your bit. And, oh, another thing I noticed before in the last video, I mentioned that this crystal oscillator was here, and I didn't see one on this board. But if we look over here, I'm pretty sure that's a crystal oscillator, so that's probably the real-time clock over here or something. I'm sure it keeps pretty decent time, though, either way. So now I think the best way to do this is to just take the old blob approach. There's some solder on there already. I can just get this part in its hole. Everybody's happy. So I'm just going to take my pencil here and I'm going to hit the plus button. Power it back up. And I bet we don't want any solder sticking up. Sorry, solder, if anybody from outside the North American area is watching. Solder, not solder. Maybe try and flow away a little bit of that excess. Oh. Oh, geez. Really made a mess of it. There we go. Just sit nice on there. I think that's good enough. I think we're going to call that done. And I'm going to try to reassemble the watch now. And hopefully we get a beep. Got the frame in place. Buttons work. Everything's good. We're not hearing any beeps yet because I don't have the piezo speaker installed yet. But I'm just going to give that screen a little clean, just to make sure that when it all goes back together, everything's nice. So I'm just giving this a nice little wipe, just to remove any dust. And I'll do that to the inside of the case as well, because I've been touching it with my greasy hands. There's some whiteness on there, who knows what, probably kids' toothpaste. I don't think that case is getting much cleaner. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pop this back inside. And I found it was very handy last time to make sure these buttons were extended, because they can get depressed just waiting around. Oh, shoot. Okay, don't press them too hard. The buttons just fly out if you do that. Can I get it back in there? Okay, I can. Alright, so just be a little ginger when you're sort of depressing these buttons, because they will come flying out if you're not careful. Good to know for next time. We have button presses. That's all good. Looks good. Alright, now let's put the waterproofing gasket back in place. And I think we'll leave the rest of this to the shell. Pretty sure the shell goes like this. I'm not hearing any beep. That is concerning. I guess this needs to be pressed out a little further. I'm gonna try that. It's got to make contact with the back of the case. Maybe it's not doing that, so we'll try again. There we go. Now we're getting some beeps. Well, there you have it. That's my Casio F-91W Sensor Watch PCB custom firmware that I got to put together. I mean, I didn't do any editing to the code. I just sort of arranged the apps I wanted. So now I have my main clock face, my temperature monitor, my temperature log, a day counter. So this one's actually neat. So if you hold this down, gets you into there. So now we can, set, I'm going to set it for my, this This is one thing I've noticed about the Sensor Watch. It doesn't have press and hold advance, so you have to press the button for each setting increment, which is kind of a drag with these tiny little buttons, but you know, what am I complaining about? This watch has way more functionality than it ever had. Alright, here we go. So you could set a date, and I'm just going to set an arbitrary date here. Let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July for the month, and for the day. Oh, I went past it. So now I've got to go all the way around, I can't press and hold. I got to do it one increment at a time. 2, 3. All right, there you go. So let's see here. It has been 22,365 days since that day. And if I go here and set it to this year. Whoa, what? What? It went all the way around. It didn't go to... You seriously? Okay, I didn't know that was the case. I thought I could do something from this year, but I guess not. Weird. Okay. Maybe I gotta set up the time first. Let's go. So anyways, let's keep going. Then there's stopwatch, right? Just acts like a normal stopwatch. Seconds, minutes, hours. Stop, reset with the backlight. Moving along. Countdown timer. Again, self-explanatory. When it's on, it's counting down. Stop it with that. Reset it with this. Hold down, I think, to set. One of these you probably hold to set. There you go. You set with the light button. There you go. And then you advance with this. Okay. That's cool. Again. Oh, this one is press and hold. Oh. Oh, man, that should be a standard across every watch face, but I guess it has to be programmed into each individual watch face. For now, anyways. That's cool, though. Oh, that's handy as heck. Yeah. That's what I want for the time setting page. Let's see if it's got that. Anyway, so there's an hour. Countdown an hour. 12 hour. This is the usual preferences. You know, this is where you set things like beep yes. Time off. That's how much time. Actually, I don't know what that means. 60 seconds. I know that this is low energy, so in 1 hour it'll go into sleep mode. And it basically just turns off the second hand display on the clock face. And probably does some other stuff for power regulation. I don't know. That's the light timer, how long the backlight comes on. I like to leave that at 5 seconds. And I like to have sort of more of an old school looking backlight. So I like to make it more of like a red and green for sure. So that it looks more like a grain of wheat bulb. Kind of a yellow look to it, like back in the day. There you go. I like that. And yeah. And then set the time. So it is 4:14 local time here. So it has hold to advance. Okay, good. Yeah, it didn't at first. I remember when I first got this thing, it didn't have press and hold to advance to the next. To quickly cycle through the time. T223, that's probably why it reset. Year, month, it is April. Whoop. April. Come on, bro. April the 2nd. I'm not sure what this is. Yeah, I don't know. That's like an alarm or something. Anyways. Okay, great. 4:15, 4:16. Very good. Yeah, we'll take it. And now this countdown timer should let me, or this day one timer should let me set a more realistic year, I would think. 2, 3. Okay. 7, 12. There we go. 101 days. I think that's what it's saying. Well, there you go. That's my F-91W custom firmware watch. What is this? Oh, it's counting down the hour. So that's just some firmware I threw together today, and I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to be doing some more on this watch probably. I'd like to make my own watch face at some point, but there's a lot of reading to do on the Git to sort of figure out how to do all that. And most of the cool stuff has already been done, so I'm just enjoying letting other people provide me with cool stuff in the meantime. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So long.